Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddy Alexander-grout, and I am here with Danusia, Malina-Derben, who is an entrepreneur extraordinaire, but she also has 10 kids, which I find absolutely fascinating. So I thought I'd get her onto the podcast. We'd have a chat about her life, about her money story, and about how the hell she's managed with 10 kids, because I just think that's absolutely inspirational. And it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. So, Danusia, tell me a little bit about you, first of all.
Well, first of all, thank you, Maddy, for having me on. That's a great pleasure. And it's a lovely opportunity to talk about money, which obviously lots of us don't talk about. And I'm a great champion of what you're up to in the world. So thank you for that. Okay, so I am, very briefly, by day, my day job is as a boardroom consultant. I've been in boardrooms for 22 years. With a team of maverick consultants. I stress maverick because we're all, interesting, multi-talented professionals from many arenas of life, whether that's psychotherapy, organizational behavior, which is my background, and we work with senior teams. So whether that's teamwork, the actual team side of it, or the individuals within the team, but it's at that level in the boardroom. So that's my day job. My night job, as I like to call it, is as a podcast host of 2 podcasts and author. I also write for television. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, indeed. So that's what I do, as well as you mentioned, I'm very blessed to be a mum of 10 children. So yes, that's me.
That's fair. And by the sounds of things, your children do not define you in any way, shape, or form, because you are such a career woman, which is just massively inspiring. Because, oh gosh, I've got 2 and I struggle. I'm like a flapping hen most of the time. So I really am very interested to hear what your money story is. So start at the beginning.
Well, you're completely right. My children do not define me, yet they are at the center of my life. So, but what I mean by that is that I haven't come out of my own sense of my identity as Danusia and replaced it with the children and waited for them to leave and then to occupy myself again. I am myself, and I occupy who I am, whatever that means, but my identity has not disappeared or gone to the edges of myself in order to raise my children. So my money story, I was raised by entrepreneur parents.
Great.
And that is really important to mention right up front, because I grew up in a feast or famine cycle of money. And and that meant that I knew we were doing really well financially it was determined by where my parents bought the food and what was on the table and how they behaved. So we were lucky enough to live in a beautiful place. My father is Polish, and so he's an immigrant from a wealthy family, but lost everything. So because of various wars, then other things, my parents, my dad didn't bring his wealth with him. So I still have family in Poland, but he started completely again. And so he's very, very hardworking. So that's one of the big values that I guess I was raised with hard graft, that nothing arrives at your door without, I wouldn't say hustle, because hustle wasn't the thing. It was
that word's freaking horrible anyway. We don't like it. Like, no,
I don't like it at all.
I mean, even side hustle, like, I mean, everybody knows what a side hustle is, right? But why hustle? Why is it not just
why hustle for it? I agree with you, Maddie. So that's why when I described my life, I didn't say I have a main role, you know, here's my big career, or here's my money-making career, and then I have a side hustle. I call it a day job and a night job, because because they are fully, you know, they take up a lot of my time, and actually they're not, one's more revenue generating than the other, but actually the other one, the night job, still has a very big place in my life and does produce income and revenue. So I think my money story really is about, certainly started as a child, noticing the difference around where we were, how flourishing we were as a family, according to how that people were behaving. And so my mum would whip down curtains if I needed some kind of fancy dress, or or indeed actually a dress. I remember my mum taking down some, finding some old things and getting the sewing machine out and running up some things. I mean, I'm not like that, although I am actually really resourceful, which we probably will come on to.
I would hope so.
Yeah. And it's something that, so the manner in which she did it is slightly different, but actually, the kind of theme is there still, and I'm actually proud of it. It's not something that I am like wanting to hide, as I'm not frugal. I'm totally committed to being resourceful, and that includes all sorts of things: what I furnish my home with, how I buy things, what I buy, do I buy new, etc., etc. But that started in the feast and famine cycle of my life. So we had oodles of money, or we had very little. There wasn't a lot going along in that kind of medium. We were pretty wealthy, and then my dad lost it all.
Oh God.
Yeah, he lost it all.
That's entrepreneurship though, right? I mean, like, I guess we as entrepreneurs, we've all been in times where we're absolutely flying, and then times where we're like, oh my God, I don't know where my next client's coming from, my business is going to implode and I'm going to die, type kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it, that actually so I grew up with that from an early age, and noticing the roller coaster of that, and actually not making it a problem. I didn't make that a problem at all. I didn't see that as something that was to be avoided. Like, give me a normal job, get me in an office, or no, I didn't actually see it that way. And I'm pleased about that, because it's equipped me and equips me now as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. And I have been employed. I was an academic, a senior academic for years. I know what it's like to get a salary with a pension, with, all of that stuff attached to it. And as well, what that does to one's identity and who owns you and what's expected. But certainly, and I came out of my tenured position, which was bonkers, but it was important for me to do that. I felt at the time, to really commit to creating, my own business and carving out my own thing. I couldn't give myself a safety net, which is madness. But, if we have one, we might use it. So I didn't give myself one. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So my money story, certainly if we come to present, I have a huge drawing room in this house.
I mean, the fact that you call it a drawing room, I mean, before you close that curtain, I mean, I think you should lift it up and show everybody your back garden, because I just think it needs to be shown.
I'll go into darkness.
Go into darkness and show everybody your absolutely amazing garden.
Yeah, so this is an oval window. If I move this a little bit, you might be able to see it. It's an oval window. It's beautiful.
Amazing.
It really is. I'm actually in my bedroom. I home educate my triplets. And this morning I had this guy who is got a great big digger in the back garden. He's making a parking area and he's doing all sorts of things for the office area. And what that meant was that literally he just left, as you know, Maddy, as we came on to record this. And so I was knee deep in mud with him right up until the kind of moment that I ran to
stuff like that I'll give you an 11th child.
Well, yes. Yes, yeah, he's ever so lovely, actually, but that's another thing. We're not talking sex. So
Shame.
so
I was going to say, how we Tuesday.
So whereas normally I'd set the kit up, and I do mean the light, nothing else. I actually didn't have time. I was like, children, don't disturb me. So that's why I'm in near darkness, and it's like, oh, to hell with it. It doesn't matter. But yes, that's the back garden, and so I have a drawing room, and it's extremely large, and I mean, kind of, I think it's a 20-foot, 25-foot ceiling.
Wow.
Really beautiful, really, really lovely. And the reason I'm mentioning it is not actually to brag at all. It's that it ties to my money story, which the other day I had a home education event here, because it's a big room, so I can have lots of people. And we had a zoo experience. So that this woman shows up with all these animals, and
wow.
Yeah, really great. And I had lots of people, and there was some teenagers there. There's lots of different ages of children, but there was some teenagers there. And I had several of them come to me and say, oh, we just love your home. Oh, we're looking at the art, and it's so like quirky and different. And has all of this come from London? By the way, I'm sat in Somerset on the edge of Exmoor. So it's like, has this come from London? It must have done. And I said to them, no. What's interesting to know, I think I'd like you to know about this room, is that absolutely everything, and I was looking around it thinking, am I about to lie? But I mean, like, as to my knowledge, every single thing in the room is secondhand or
excellent,
upcycled. And I pointed to a kind of a piece of furniture that's all covered in leopard print and it's painted gold. And I said, well, I picked that up at a recycling centre. Someone was about to throw it in. And I said, oh, may I just have that?
Nice.
Threw it in the back of my car, and I upcycled it, but you wouldn't know it. So you walk in this room and you think, whoa, this is money. This is not money. This is not money at all. This is creativity and a value for not spending on new, of actually, if I can find it, bar pants and socks and even shoes, I will do secondhand. I will buy it. I will buy it.
Because that was going to be my next question. How on earth have you afforded to have 10 children and fed them, clothed them? Where do you do your supermarket shopping? Are you like a bargain hunter, or how's it all worked?
It's been in different stages, really, because I've had children, I didn't have 10 in 10 years. I've had them all my life. So, I had.
You can't remember what it was like without them.
Yeah, well, I didn't have any without them. So I had the triplets in my 40s, and I had my first one in my teens.
Okay.
So I've spread these across generations, of stages of my life. I can remember being when I had 4 boys in 4 years, actually. So the time I was 21, I had 4 children. So, and then I went to university. So I there's something about doing things backwards for me. It's like there's no linear way to do anything. So you know, it's the same with money, really, in so many ways. It's about being resourceful again, but
Yeah.
finding shortcuts, finding ways that will give you what you want, but not necessarily the way that you might have been taught to do it. And I'm not talking about illegal ways. I really am not. Of course I'm not. But it's
I was going to say, not in this app. We can't talk about illegal money making. It's all about fraud here.
I don't know. I was talking to my accountant the other day, and I said the word siphon, and I said, no, that's the wrong word. I'm not talking about siphoning money. That was the wrong word. Genuinely, I was like, no.
Moving.
Yeah. It was
allocating.
Yeah, exactly. It was literally a slip of the tongue. I was like, no, sorry. But anyway, back to what you were saying. So I remember being in a supermarket with, you know, before smartphones, had a calculator with me. I literally would calculate with my trolley. Oh, sorry, those ginger nuts have got to go back on the shelf. We've just gone over the cash that's in my purse. We can't do that. Through to, you know, not surprising, you know, that feast and famine stuff. So I'm not a big spender. So I'm not a big spender on the majority of things that other people might hold dear. And I think that might be it. So I started out with the absolute, what is the word? The absolute belief and sureness. It was like a certainty within my own system that there was no reason that I could not be myself, be fulfilled professionally, and afford my children. I was clear. It's like, I know everywhere I hear that you should only have 1, 2, 3. If you're completely mad or you're very wealthy, you can have 4. And if
that word should, who dictates to us what we should or shouldn't do? And I still get people saying to me, are you going to have another one? And I'm like, fuck no, because I can barely cope with the 2 that I've got. And I can, you know, hands up, you know, I've got an autoimmune disease, I've got ADHD, I am perimenopausal, so probably couldn't have another one anyway. But, you know, I just think it's none of your bloody business whether or not I'm going to have another one. You know,
actually, that's mostly important, most of it, isn't it? It's like, you keep your eyes on your business.
Absolutely.
My business, you know, and I've been asked, why 10? I'm like, well, why not?
Why not? You do what you do, right? Like, and it's the same way when people start judging our parenting. And I know that this is something that, because we've had this conversation before about that we feel very, very strongly about. You do you parent the way that you want to do it. You save money the way that you want to do it. You spend money the way that you want to do it. You do you. That's my motto in life. Like,
exactly.
Problem, and then you get help with it. In which case, you know, help other people to do you.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe don't tell anyone else to do you, because there'll be more children.
Definitely, we're back to the man with the digger, aren't we?
We are.
let's
the digger.
Yes, exactly.
This took a really bad turn.
Let's not go down that line. Yes. Yeah. Actually, the other day I, for fun, stuffed something up my jumper, and it was.
I'm glad you said jumper.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a jumper. Thank you, listeners. And my children just looked at me and went, "Not another one." They do. Oh. I was banned after the triplets. I was banned from going near any men. I was like,
do they all get on with each other?
Who all the
kids? Yeah.
I mean, they do. Oh. I mean, there's obvious best friendships. You know, there's boundary. There's boundaries. So
like the ones that are closer in age and stuff.
Yeah. Well, actually, in some ways, it's not even close in age. It's just just get on with some people slightly better. And so number 4 son gets on with number 5 child, which is a girl, my eldest daughter. and they're just off on holiday next month together.
Oh,
And so there's different little connections between them, different ones. I mean, they all adore the triplets. They did. Well, they do, but they waited a long time for me to have my last baby, which was meant to be one little one, not three. That was a strain.
I mean, you can't
a big strain.
predict that, can you? Like thinking, yeah, you know, you've got 7 kids. I mean, that's quite a handful, and then being like, oh yeah, one more, 3. Okay, really? Are we doing this? Oh, yeah. So
well, no, there is a. It was a great big shock, and actually, when you say we're doing this, but they are women are routinely offered.
Oh, you just turned into a robot for about. You just turned into a robot for 2 minutes, but I think you're back now. So.
I'm back now. Okay, so sorry about that.
Okay.
Listeners might not know that you if you're having more than twins, higher order multiples, that actually consultants always. Is it happening again?
Were any of the others multiples, or just the triplets?
Just the triplets.
Oh gosh. I mean, at least you were a very experienced parent by that point, I guess. But that's.
Yes, you're absolutely right, and that helped. And nothing at all can ever prepare you for 3 babies at all. So I was back. I mean,
you've only got 2 boobs for starters. I mean, like, that causes problems from day one, right? I mean, if you wanted to breastfeed, I'm assuming that's very difficult. I mean, it's a very personal question, just, you know, and I don't care if you did or you didn't, because it doesn't matter and it's nobody's business. But, you know, you've only got 2 hands, you've only got 2 boobs, you've got 2 car doors. Like, I mean, I can't even imagine.
So do you think I breastfed or not?
Do you know what? I'm going to go with yes, because I think you're pretty determined.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You absolute rock star.
So I had one baby on one boob, the other baby on another boob, and then the third one I fed with my foot, not my actual foot, but holding a bottle of either my breast milk or formula. It depended, because obviously between feeds I needed to get a stock of my breast milk.
Oh God. So you're just like human cow for like a year or whatever. Oh my God. I mean, I admired you before, and now I actually feel like you might be some form of like higher being, and I'm a little bit scared by you. I just, honestly, that is absolutely amazing. Like, well done. Just, I honestly don't know how I barely coped with one. Like, but I guess it's just character building, right?
Yeah, well, I think we could do without character building sometimes, couldn't we? We really could. You know, let's be honest. It was. I could have given up. I know that, but actually, I knew that because they were very, very premature, I knew that I needed to give them the strongest chance of living, and that's as simple as that. I didn't expect to necessarily come out with 3 live babies. I was warned, and once I knew it was 2 boys and a girl, I knew that I had even more of a chance because of boys. Premature baby boys' mortality rate is higher than girls.
Okay, so, I didn't know that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So boys, you know, sadly do not survive if they're micro-premi.
And how early were they?
They were 28 weeks.
Oh gosh, wow.
So yeah, so they were tiny. And when they came out of hospital, I remember Serafina, my daughter, being £2 2 ounces.
Wow.
That's when she came out after months. So, you know, these were incredibly vulnerable children medically.
Yeah.
And I also had to get back to earning as well. So actually it was a very, very tense time. And it's only in the last couple of years that, I mean, actually one of mine is waiting for an operation. So it goes on and on and on. So the kind of, I'll call it structural repairs are still there. You know, they're still happening, but they're fantastic. They're wonderful children.
How old are they now?
They're now 10.
Wow.
So,
Gosh.
yeah. So yeah, they're great. And I think the money thing, the money thing is, I'll also say, I will confess that I've had them in, my 7 other ones have been in, actually, and the triplets have been in either state school and public school, private education. I will also say, philosophically, I deeply believe that I wish this education system was, you know, in a state that we didn't need privately paid education. They're worlds apart. And I was a military wife, a senior military officer's wife, and for a long time. And so that's actually how the children entered that world of boarding, as they be dragged around the world.
So that, I mean, yeah, that answers one of my other questions. I was going to ask you about the price of childcare, because that is something that I think every parent struggles with, no matter how many they've got.
Nightmare.
And 10, I mean, that's bankruptcy, surely. Like,
yeah, triplets in a nursery, just imagine it. They went 4 days a week at one point.
Oh, crikey.
And I mean, yes, actually, one of the things is about, for me, my money story would also include a really critical point about negotiation. And one of those things, so was when I first started as an academic. I was a fellow at a prestigious university. And the reason I say that is because they assumed that a woman coming into the role, I was taking over from someone actually, would accept, because it was prestigious, I would accept a relatively low salary. And yes, and they hadn't reckoned on the fact that I intuited, I don't know why, but I thought, I'd like to know how much my predecessor, or the person in the role that she'd already left, what was she getting? That's not a normal question. And people don't normally go and find the person that used to be in that role.
I love that question. Why do people not ask that question much more?
Well, I knew that they wouldn't tell me, because I knew the university would have HR would have no reason to tell me, of course. So I found the woman herself and I asked her.
Nice. That is good work.
And she told me. And this was at the point where we were at offer stage. So I wasn't at the point of, oh, if I get it. I wasn't that audacious, but there was a certain amount of audacity to actually go and find her.
Yes.
Once I knew that they were really interested, and I knew that I was getting an offer soon on the table, when I got that offer, I knew then what they'd paid her. And I went back in with...
Did they offer you lower?
Oh, considerably. Something like 6 points lower. I mean, it meant that when I came out of my academic career, I was exceptionally well paid at the height here. Had I gone into my academic career, I would have never made that. Never in a million years. I might be there now, still trying to get there. But because, I mean, for all sorts of performance related issues as well, because obviously you publish and do all that stuff, and that kind of helps. But actually my starting point was incredibly important to my money story. Yeah. And so I went back in and counter offered with where she was and said,
I'd have gone up. I'd have gone up, because if they lost her, then they need to pay more to get somebody to stay in the job.
It's a really good point, because one of the reasons I didn't was you had to speak Mandarin.
Okay.
And I don't speak Mandarin.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess that's a bit of a quibble.
Yeah, it was a Chinese UK matched project between companies, and we were writing the project, and there was a lot of work in China, and I don't speak Mandarin at all, not one word, but I got the job even though I didn't have Mandarin. So I knew that they were leaning on that piece of critical information for them to not award me what she was on. She's fluent Mandarin. Right.
Makes sense.
Now a lawyer. So I knew that if I went too high, but I matched her and said I would do it for no less. They came back with Mandarin, and I said, it does not matter. It's either me at that price or not. And obviously that takes metal. That does take ovaries, and it's scary because they can say no. But actually, they would have to start the process again. They would have to go back to number 2, number 3, and all that stuff. And the reason I mention this is because it is a key piece, because nursery, 3 children, you know, there was no hand-me-downs. They're all at the same stage. There's, you know, I had to buy all different new things. So haggling, negotiating, whichever word you'd like, but negotiating is my preferred one, was critical in being able to afford nursery fees. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you haggle with the nursery for the fees?
Yes.
Good.
Big time.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, if they're going to get 3 people from you, they can at least give you a discount.
Yeah,
that's my
very, very heavy discount. And I mean, I can't think what it was. It was substantial. And I mean, it really was. It made it possible. And I also then brought custom to them because, you know, they had done very, very, very well. The same with school fees. Exactly the same with school fees. So negotiating on anything and everything, actually.
People don't think about the fact that you could negotiate for school fees or nursery fees or whatever.
Of course.
You know, I tell you what, something that's really bugged me this week is that there are 3 bank holidays in May, and I pay for Mondays at the nursery.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's horrible, isn't it? And you just think, you know, I know that they charge for bank holidays. That's fine, but like all the people who don't have their kids on bank holidays, they don't have to, you know, they don't have to suffer. So I'm like, well, can I make up the hours somewhere else? So I'm like, I feel like I've been duped here a little bit. But you know, people just don't think to ask those questions, and I think it's really important that you can realize that nothing's really set.
Nothing.
You know, it's even prices. Like, I mean, I've haggled in clothes shops before because there's been a button missing, or you know, there's a teeny weeny bit of thread coming out of something. I actually the other day I went to buy an office chair, and I picked up the last one, and they said to me, sorry, you can't buy that is the display piece. And I said, then charge me less for it. And they were like, we can't do that. And I said, go and get the manager. So they went to get the manager, and he said, oh, yeah, this is the last one. I said, then sell it to me. If it's the last one, I want you to sell it to me. And he said, okay. And I said, but I don't want to pay this. I don't want to pay what everybody else paid. You know, it should be on sale if it's the last one. And I ended up getting about 40 quid off of this office chair. And nobody thinks to haggle about these things. It's all what you can haggle in every area.
In every area. And so people's bottoms will have sat on that chair. People will have tried it. You know, it's been out, it's not been wrapped up. It's not the same as one that's in a box.
It's dusty.
It's dusty, which
and it
is
does this,
fine.
which is really good. I don't know if the other ones did that, but I always lean back and go, whoa.
But it was £40 cheaper. So
yes, right.
Absolutely. So the idea of being resourceful, spans across to negotiating. And as women, particularly as women, we are not that great at being awkward. Like, it's awkward to have the conversation of, no, I'd like to come in at, I don't know what it was, 29,000 something. It was it was 7 points up, I can tell you, than the starting thing. Imagine that over a career. I mean, it's so big. It's so big. And because we don't want to be awkward, uncomfortable, being seen as demanding, needy, difficult. Oh, God forbid that we are seen as difficult. And I think so our finances as women actually are nowhere near in such a good shape as a lot of men, not all men, of course, but I work closely with men that have no problem talking about, well, I've heard that he's getting this, or I'm just worth it. I want it. And retain me. So give me X amount more money. And it's always big. It'll be bigger than you.
And do we think this is why men still get paid more than women, because we're too scared to ask for it?
I think it's a combination, though, isn't it? Because it's that
maybe people think they can get away with it because we're not going to ask for it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think they can get away with it. They do get away with it. Because typically we don't bust the whole secrecy about, well, what are you earning? We're sat here, we're doing the same job. I shared as an academic for a large part of my career an office with 3 professors, male professors, I hasten to add, all about 25, 30 years older. I was an anathema to them, particularly because I was in mini skirts and unsuitable high heels and all sorts of things. And I'd take power naps in the middle of the day on the floor for 12 minutes, but nevertheless, the thing that they couldn't understand was that I wanted to know how much they earned. Like, well, what are you on? And I literally researched it. I took it as a research project of, how long did it take you to get there? How did you do it? What were the steps? Because I wanted to back structure, like take it all apart of, okay. So how often do you ask for that? Like, who do you need permission from to get that? As in, where's the power base? And I think that what I see actually with women is that, 1, we don't ask. 2, it's assumed we won't ask. There is an assumption, but also the third thing is that there's this whole still strong belief that men are the main earner. They're holding the family together, that the male salary is the most important. And that's such a myth. And we know it. So families know it. Men and women know it. But it's still, it's still very palpable. And that's a shame.
To move on from this subject very, very quickly, how are the kids with money? Because I'm assuming that a lot of them are not really kids anymore. They're kind of more adults. Have you taught them your ethics? And when it came to things like pocket money, how did you deal with that?
Okay, so pocket money is a good one. We actually, the triplets don't get pocket money at the moment. I'm not too sure why I'm doing it differently.
Okay.
That's an interesting one. At some point, I think it actually, to be fair, I think what it is that they're home educated and our life is really quite different in its structure than I've had with the other 7. The other 7 all attended school in a normal fashion. These don't, and there's many reasons for that. But traditionally in our family, children have earned pocket money not to do chores. It's not about, it's not because they've done, they've made their bed, or they would have a small allowance. It would be an allowance. And it's more about learning how to manage money than it is about anything else.
Yeah.
So money management is really, really important. So the triplets do have, the smaller ones do have money, and they have it from all sorts of sources, not least their older siblings send them money. I mean, I don't mean large amounts. I mean, birthday money and Christmas money and things like that. And it's interesting to see that they all like saving. So one of them, actually, I ought to tell you that one of them started trading when he was 8. So he likes trading.
Wow.
The trading. He's into trading.
That's crazy. At 8 years old. Wow.
Yeah. So he is really, really conscious about profit and loss. He's really conscious about how to craft, how to actually create money. It's not something that's been encouraged in him by me. It's not something that I've kind of, come on, we need to, make money. He just looks at the world through a money lens. He just does. When he sees something, we go shopping, he'll say, oh, that's gone up. Well, that's terrible. That's a 20% increase. He literally will see that. That's his interest in life. So I spent a lot of time.
He needs a job. He needs to come work for me. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, he does. We're talking about him getting back into, because he's had a few months off, back into trading. And he's very good. He did a trading competition, his first, and he was second place. He knows how to do this. He just has that little thing. The other one is one of the boys is a great saver. So I mean, he saves £50 notes. I mean, he's into, and he actually, his particular love, apart from flags, is coins, and coins are worth money. So he will look at money, and he looks at 50p's because he knows all the 50p's that are worth £2.50 or £20. Yeah, that's what he does. Serafina likes spending it. She likes spending it, but she does like secondhand things. So we love charity shops. So
brilliant.
Yeah. So that's, pocket money. I again, you do you. I know there's lots of debate about pocket money, but I don't pay them to do chores because of a team spirit that we have in the house.
Nice. So essentially they're going to do stuff anyway.
Yeah, they do stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's good. I wish my kids were more like that. But maybe it's because I give them pocket money for chores. Maybe they know that they're going to get paid to do it. So why would they do it otherwise?
Yeah. What's the incentive? What's the incentive, you see? Whereas when they become adults, and I love seeing my older kids, they have beautiful, pristine, not that it matters in the sense of I think that this is what it should be, but they've grown up in a house that is very ordered. Everything has a place. And because actually I've got a lot to do. So I can't live in mess. Yeah.
Well, I can imagine that you have to run a very, very tight ship when you have that many kids, and you've got
exactly.
people coming and going, and yeah.
How
many bedrooms have you got?
Well, actually, this place has 4, but it's big. It's like not little. It's and an annex and things like that. But nice. I know you're gonna joke about West Wings in a minute. I can feel it. It's
You know me too well, but I mean, like we did say earlier, and I was going to say, actually, do you have a shed to put them in when they're naughty? Like, just like get out.
No, we don't
the
need
West
that
Wing,
kind
the
of
West
rumor. We just don't. We just don't. But yeah.
Well, do you know what? It's been absolutely lovely having you on today. What's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, consulting continues.
Yeah.
Day job is the day job, which is great. I'm very lucky. And lucky, I'm not sure it's lucky. I feel grateful is what I mean. But I'm actually rebranding School for Mothers podcast. I've had School for Fathers podcast, which I'm kind of letting just sit there as evergreen material content. But School for Mothers is actually rebranding, coming out in September as Parents Who Think. It's going to be a debate show. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm currently recording for that on all sorts of heinous, terrible debates, topics that parents all love talking about, but there's no show that's actually, out there. So
I'm so
I know
excited.
I've got a money one that I really want you to come on, and it's good. So the first one that we're coming out with I'm launching with is having a favorite child okay?
Ooh.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, yeah, that is hard hitting, but do we have a favorite child? I mean, I tell you what, I always have a favorite child, but it switches between the two of them. It's whichever
nicely dodged.
Whichever one's pissing me off the least at any given time.
Yeah. Well, I'm this is something in my family with having 10 children. Being the favorite it comes up a lot. And I have 4 of my 10 have absolutely said that they must be part of this podcast, this first episode of Parents Who Think, because they know where they stand.
Okay.
Three of them have said, oh, it's obvious, quietly to me privately, like it's
obviously me. Yeah,
I'm the favorite and we all know it. I'll record you something, please, will you? And I've said, yeah, that's fine. And then one of them came to me and said, well, I know I'm not the favorite.
Oh, interesting.
I would like to do something on that. And
would they like to be the favorite though? Well,
that'll be an interesting thing to see if she says that. So you'll hear from 4 of my children about why they're the favorite or not.
That's really interesting. I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely amazing.
I don't know what I'm going to say.
So where do people find you?
Danusia Malina-Derben.com. Obviously a snappy little website name, that one.
Totally snappy. We'll put it in the show notes.
Thanks, Mum and Dad. Yes. Yeah, you can find me there or on LinkedIn. Because of the nature of my work, I don't do lots of, hey, here's me in a boardroom with X, because hey, it's all about
confidentiality, and it's not like The Apprentice where you're like, you're fired every 5 minutes.
No. Although my TV work is, funnily enough, I've done a lot of writing for TV, but that's where you'll find me. There's only one person with that name, so it's not.
I would imagine. I mean, also same with me. Like, yes.
You know what it's like.
Great, it's great having double-barreled surnames until you go on to like GB News and someone slates you to the hills about it. But I'm just like, oh, whatever.
Yes.
That was fun. Anyway, if you're listening to this podcast in the Mad About Money app, you are in the right place. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere else that this podcast features, you are in the wrong place. Go and download the Mad About Money app and help yourself to be better with your money. Whether you are a business owner or a consumer, we help people to spend less and make more money. So go and download it now, totally free. I'm Maddy. I can't even say my own name. I am Maddy Alexander-grout with a very long name, and we'll see you next time.